Hello and welcome, fans of unusual computer stuff. Continuing topic which I started in previous video, we're going to talk about PDA from the beginning of this century. I don't want to torture you with anticipation, so I'm happy to present you Sony CLIE PEG-UX50. Hooray! Device looks cute, huh? So, we'll mentally teleport ourselves in 2003. This year, in July, great and powerful Sony announced new series of devices in Sony CLIE line. Stop right now! Who the hell Sony CLIE itself? Communication, link, information and entertainment. This is what this abbreviation stands for. Sony's marketing department said that. Sometime later, it converted to creativity, lifestyle, innovation, and emotion. But I found this information in the web archive. But there are problems with sources, so skepticism. Sony itself positioned the whole line and each device in it like personal entertainment organizer. We'll definitely test the veracity of this later. Few words about history of this line. It was born in 1999. Sony decided to collaborate with new and modern Palm, and then the story began. They were collaborating to create next generation of Palm computer platform. Sounds intriguing, yeah? Sony started with traditional, at that moment, palmtop devices. S-series was created in 2000. And as you already understood, Problem 2000 has nothing to do with it. If you don't understand what the heck this is, I'll tell you about it one day. Right after Sony released the device, main course was changed to improving and developing the line. A couple of years later, experimental phase began. First was an R-series. Devices in this line look like clamshell with keyboard. If I ever have an opportunity based on my luck, I would make a review on this device. Definitely. But now, let's return to 2003, when our hero was not alone. There was a natural evolution of the line in the form of NZ series and side branch TG series. And at that very moment, our handsome step onto the stage. Let's take a close look at the design. I can name it transitional from between daily routine laptop like PDA and futuristic tomorrow of cybernetics. When closed, it looks intriguing. Well, let's pay more attention to it. On the top in the center, we can see Sony's logo, and closer to the bottom, the name of the series. And also, there is a mark that says Personal Entertainment Organizer. Down to this mark, we can see a scattering of buttons, but we'll talk about them later. On the top left, we can see the camera. The fact that this PDA has it doesn't matter if it only 0.3 megapixels, makes a huge difference between it and Sharpsaurus. On the right, there is a capture record button. Bottom covered with charging cradle. There are some stickers with labels that you can read on the lid. There is quite a large set of everything underneath it. Also, at the bottom, there is a charging port. You remember, it's charging cradle only. A bit upper, there is a sticker from which we can understand that there is a Bluetooth and even Wi-Fi here. Next one is the Palm label, mentioning of the line and small recessed reset button. And yes, my device was refurbished, as you can see by the banner. There is an inner, non-removable battery, so you cannot replace it without disassembling the device. Its capacity is about 850 mAh. On the left, there is a massive metal ring that you can use to tie a strap to it. Next one is mini USB Type-B, RDA and on-off switch with LED indicator. I would like to emphasize its design. Rimming of that switch make it extremely simple and comfortable in use. On the right side you can find memory stick slot and two LED indicators. First one indicates that card in the slot, second one indicates video recording. So, it's time to open the lid. Ta-da! The keyboard unit is as incredibly cyberpunk cool. The lid with screen is as inexpressibly simple. Let's start from the screen. TFT LCD color display has a backlight as bright as a bright sunny day. I'm joking. These number of dots and 65K colors. Now it's clear to us that if the display screen cannot fall twice, or it was once, it indicates primitiveness of technology. Those time cutting-edge technology was screened with axis rotating hinge, and it's here. Display rotates very easy and locks into place with a click. When you work with this device, if it closes with the screen facing up, you feel like you work on the tugboat Nostromo bringing back minerals from the deep space. When we are talking about keyboard, we can say that it's pretty QWERTY and it can have only English layout. If you need more symbols, there are some problems with them. When you type something in English, there are no difficulties with it. It's rather nice and pleasant to use it, but there is only one problem: typing speed. It's limited by the size of the keys and the fact that you have to press them tight. A light touch is not enough. Also, it has no customary blind printing grooves. Font used for symbol is very cyberpunk, and it's absolutely fantastic, as well as the presence of normal arrows, a critical important thing. Generally, if you type in English, it's rather good. Before we go any further and dive into the operation system, let's take a look at what's under the hood. Processor. Sony handled engine this name. As you can see from naming, Sony took part in creation of it. Processor clock speed up to 123 MHz. There is a whole range of functional components which are integrated in his processor: a graphic accelerator and sound DSP processor, a camera controller, etc. Operation system: PalmOS software version 5.2. Memory: total 104 MB, 16 MB available for storage of files and programs, additional 16 MB available for system backup, additional 29 MB available for media storage. Connectivity: USB for hot-syn operation, infrared, RDA 1.2, Bluetooth antenna in the hinge on the right. Wireless LAN. The thing is that Bluetooth and Wi-Fi cannot be used at the same time. In the settings, you can choose only one, and if you turn on another one, the first one is automatically turned off. Only WEP encryption is supported here, which is unpleasant. Digital camera: video recording MPEG-4, 30 fps, CIF 160 to 112. Multimedia: MP3 playback, MPEG-4 video playback, flash player, audio recorder, web browser, email. Expansion: memory stick media, recognize Magic Gate and memory stick Pro cards. Dimension and weight you can see on the screen. Power output: DC 5.2 volts, input 100 to 240 volts AC. Few words about Sony and its pathological desire to use proprietary solutions that are not really needed. By mid-November 2002, 376 companies, including Samsung Electronics, supported the memory stick format. But there was a problem with this type of card, and it was that the maximum memory capacity was limited to 128 MB, and the early 256 MB memory stick select card had a special switch on the card body that would open and close right into one of two memory banks. You can imagine how convenient it was. While Sony was fixing it, many companies realized who they run business with and leave Sony with their memory stick card alone. In our case, there is also an interesting point. There are cards of this type, Memory Stick Pro, on free sale, but they are quite rare and some of them have already failed. Due to the fact that the standard lived relatively short life and that card was supplemented by Memory Stick Pro Duo, to get a working card supported by the device is certainly a kind of adventure. Of course, you won't see any dragons on your way, but it's easy to lose a couple of coins on a supported version of the card. Now, let's look at the photos I stole from different resources that show the process and result of disassembly. Well, let's move on the review of the operation system. I'll say a few words about Palm. For the era, Palm did something incredible. It required great skill to sell customers the future in the form of handwriting. But at that time, it was done with a stylus, and it took even more skill to teach user a new type of input. I can only applaud to that. Unfortunately, the company didn't live very long and couldn't structurally transform itself in a changed world that was no longer the same after great.com crash. So, at startup, we are greeted by Sony's logo and the CLIE's logo. After that, we'll be offered the standard initial setup with the typical calibration of the touchscreen. After that, we can get to main screen, which is somehow of a drum, on the edges of which various applications are located. To move between rows and columns, you can use squeaky wheel, which is cool, but not the most convenient that you can think of. You can also use a stylus and touch input, which is more comfortable to use. We won't devote time to all utilities. It will be better to look at the most interesting ones. And in my opinion, the most interesting is settings. I'm kidding. Or not kidding. But we'll look at the settings. Before that, let's take a quick look at what else we have on the main desktop, if we can call it like that. On the top left, there is a settings for cylindering. So, by moving the slider, we can change the interface from flat to standard. A little to the left, there is some information. At the bottom, there is a number of icons of most necessary application. A little to the right, there is a section of application groups. The right panel in the folded state looks like this. Panel expansion button, clock and date, analog and digital format, memory stick card status, sound settings, battery status, context menu and exit to main menu. From here, we can connect to Bluetooth devices. Right now, we're gonna connect and transmit. Yoo-hoo! You have to realize actually that it's extremely expensive and sometimes impossible to support ancient protocols and connection methods. So, it's logical that such technologies become unusable sometime later. Buttons. The same three buttons at the bottom, you can make them look like the icons or differently. Connections. From the height of years, it's strange to see a separate menu for Bluetooth and a separated one for connection of all other kinds, except for the third menu called Network. In general, it's more about creating a connection for synchronization purpose. Just in case, I'll remind you that the point of PDAs is that they are completely autonomous devices. But if you have a PC or another PDA, this is a way to connect them together for the purpose of transferring internal data. We'll skip the rest briefly. Let's take a quick look at the main theme and realize that the main theme in life is life. CLIE Viewer is one of the few applications that works normally with files and allows you to transfer pictures outside. The second application that allows you to work with files, move, delete, and for example format flash drives is CLIE Files. Unlike the previous review device, the speaker is visible on the body. We've listened to the melody from it and figure out whether it was worth it or not. Here you can listen to music in the Necro format ATRAC3 and a quiet leave MP3 using audio player. Let's continue the theme of multimedia. Here, we can not only watch, but also make our own movies. So, please write in comments if you want a review on some device filmed on this PDA. And if this comment gets, I don't know, like 50 likes, I will make it. Data transfer, cable, RDA, Bluetooth. Datebook, plan your life and become a business person. In short, it could be a motto, but it wasn't. The same features include the address book app, fairly simple app for keeping in touch, back in the days when we were still talking to people by phone. CLIE mail and email client, to-do list, the most necessary tool for success. So it worked like this: set you a task, mark it as done, and success. MemoPad, notebook which has categories of notes. CLIE Memo is a notebook if you need to draw something or don't have time to write. Calculator is unfortunately very basic, but there is a history of calculations. Wall time, here according to tradition. A businessman should know what time the contractor have and whether it is worth calling them about the delivery of rubber ducks right now or it better wait till the local morning. CLIE mail, NetFront, SMS. It's generally clear what is responsible for what. The only thing to emphasize is that to send SMS, you need to connect somehow to the phone that can do it through a special menu in the settings. It's funny, but microSIM also appeared in 2003, but there is no telephone communication model, so it's just an abstract fact. We will try to look at some internet, of course. Text mostly. Block of applications relate to synchronization, data import, hotsync, and others. Security. Like any other self-respecting device, CLIE has a menu with a privacy control. Here you can also configure how long the device will be locked. Pixel Viewer, designed to view the most common text and image formats, including, for example, PDF of Microsoft Office documents, although it has problems with different languages, for example, the Russian language, and no one doubted it. This is one of the few pre-installed apps that use animations. Write in the comments how do you like its work. The price at the start of sales was about $700. Moreover, purchasing this device was a difficult task for residents of a number of countries. The competition on the market at that time was very serious. For example, in the same 2003, Palm Tungsten W i710 was released and its price was about $419. But there was an important difference. i710 was a smartphone based on Palm OS. Because of that point, it had an SIM slot and didn't need additional device to get online. Regardless of all these, the Sony was a great device for its time, at least because of the design. You could still call it futuristic. You can imagine for a second what would happen if such a form factor was adopted as a standard in the industry and how beautiful the world would be. The presence of a color camera, extensive multimedia capabilities as well as a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth made it possible to interact with this Palm device in quite a variety of scenarios, and that interaction was quite enjoyable. And what did you like more, Sharp or Sony? Write in the comments and see you soon. Bye.